Hello again, I am Blunty, and if you're wondering why my voice isn't syncing up with my chubby little face over there, it's because what you're looking at is some footage from my weekend Twitch streams. And you are, of course, looking at Pokemon Yellow gameplay. Pokemon Red, Pokemon Blue, and Pokemon Yellow now having plopped themselves into the Nintendo 3DS Virtual Console eShop to coincide with and celebrate the 20-year anniversary of the very first Pokemon games, Pokemon Red and Pokemon Green, or more accurately, Pocket Monsters Aka and Pocket Monsters Midori, launching in Japan on February 27th, 1996. It wouldn't be till almost 3 years later till the games would hit the English-speaking world with the release of the games late in 1998, and sparking off a true worldwide phenomenon for at least the next 2 decades. What was once considered a mere fad and expected to die out, and in fact claimed to be over or dead countless times in the intervening years, has indelibly cemented itself not just into gaming culture but pop culture itself. But with the 3DS Virtual Console releases of the original 3 titles, this is truly the first time I've played through them properly since, well, about the year 2000. And so it's time to really find out if they're actually as good as I remember. Do the games stand the test of time? Or have I allowed myself to be deluded by selective memory, the pop culture hype, and the sweet sense of nostalgia when everything about Pokemon was a brand new and exciting experience for me? I mean, I've played Red, Blue, and Yellow a bit over the intervening years, when I've been screwing around with emulators on various gear I've reviewed, for example, but not since the original releases have I actually intended to play through them properly and fully. There was of course various ways I've revisited Kanto, the first world map of Pokemon, either in certain later generation titles which included Kanto alongside their own maps, or of course in the mechanically and graphically updated remakes like Fire Red and Leaf Green. But the warts and all experience of the original game code, complete with all its quirks and bugs and all the old mechanics that have since been continually polished and updated and changed and expanded upon in later generations, it's actually a surprisingly fresh experience for me going back to the original games. And beyond all the wonderful memories resurfacing and all the little moments and characters and secrets long lost in the fog of recall, I'm actually having a fantastic time replaying the game. And more specifically, sharing the experience as I begin my journey of Twitch streaming every moment of my playthrough of Pokemon Yellow. I'm not playing Pokemon Yellow offline at all, it's all going to be streamed. And while my first Pokemon game was Blue, which I've now also started replaying on my other 3DS, the one without the capture card modification I'm using to stream Yellow with, I chose Yellow for Twitch because, well, for a start it has updated, cleaner and better drawn sprites. All nostalgia aside, some of the original sprites are truly kind of bad. It also has a few modifications to the story to make it align with the original anime, like starting out with a Pikachu who refuses to go in his Pokeball, so he just follows you around, which is cute, and being able to obtain all 3 of the original starters as you play through the story mode. And of course Pokemon Yellow was released when the Game Boy Color was on shelves, so unlike Red or Blue, it has the visual nicety of some color. And while I expected nostalgia, a thick and heavy pair of rose-coloured glasses for me, to play a large role in my enjoyment of replaying these classic but undeniably aged games which simply don't have the mechanical sophistication or richer feature sets of their descendants, as it turns out, my memory of these being simply fantastically enjoyable games in their own right is not purely the result of nostalgia. Over the first 2 days of its release, I've already played and streamed 14 hours of Pokemon Yellow in just 2 sittings. That's not something I could have done if nostalgia was the only thing pushing me forward, the only thing making me willing and eager to play. Nostalgia would have long since faded if the game wasn't just as compelling as it was all those many years ago. And the experience of being able to share my playthrough on a service like Twitch is of course an entirely new element, constantly interacting with the chat, answering questions, reminiscing, sharing stories and little tidbits of history and hints and tips and quirks of the game, and rediscovering all the little things I'd forgotten about. For example, the real world cultural references like the Space Shuttle Columbia and the first moon landing. It's also been fun going in without a plan so we could make choices about the team and the movesets as we go. It has all undoubtedly added another layer of interest for me, but that said, I'm also having fun in my solitude with Pokemon Blue, although obviously with 14 hours in the first 2 days of availability sunk into streaming Yellow already, my progress in Blue is, well, slower. It's also been a joy seeing the younger folk, never there in the early days, discover and be compelled by seeing the game through my eyes and the shared Twitch experience. A few of them even joining in, purchasing the game on their own systems to try out for their very first time ever with the originals. I'm filled with joy and frankly no small amount of relief to discover that all the nostalgia I felt for the games wasn't selective memory and that the game really truly is as good now as it was nearly 20 years ago. Like Farscape, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Futurama, Stargate SG-1 and Friends, it is every last bit as enjoyable now as it was 2 decades ago, and it remains every bit as significant to everything that followed in its footsteps. So what do you guys think? Were you there in the beginning? Are you playing now? How long has it been since you last visited the original version of Kanto? Or perhaps more interestingly, are you new to these old games? What's your impression? Are us old-timers letting our nostalgia blind us, or are you able to see what we see in these landmark video games? Throw your Pokeballs at my down below areas and let me know. Meanwhile, I'm going to try and get some work done and not get hopelessly distracted by playing the games, just like I did in the old days. I wonder if I'll be able to sink 90 hours into a single version like I did with Pokemon Blue back in the day. Ah, those were the days. Me and my ever-present Blastoise, Donnie, on our adventures in Kanto. Thanks for watching, I am Blunty, and I will catch you next time.